I never thought I'd be writing this post, but I need advice from people who can look at this situation objectively. My husband thinks I'm overreacting, but my gut tells me something is seriously wrong. This is going to be long, so please bear with me. My name is Sarah, and I'm 34 years old. I've been married to my husband Michael for 12 years. We live in Austin, Texas, where Michael works as a software engineer at a tech startup, and I work part-time as a dental hygienist. We have an 11-year-old son named Tyler, who is the absolute light of our lives. Tyler came to us through foster care when he was 18 months old, and we officially adopted him when he was 3. From the moment he was placed with us, he's been our whole world. Tyler is an incredible kid. He's smart, funny, and has this infectious laugh that can brighten anyone's day. He's obsessed with dinosaurs and space, constantly asking questions that keep us on our toes. He builds these elaborate Lego creations and writes stories about his adventures with his stuffed T-Rex, Mr. Chompers. His teachers consistently tell us what a joy he is to have in class. Always helpful, always curious, always kind to his classmates. Michael's family situation is complicated. His parents divorced when he was 8, and his father remarried fairly quickly to a woman named Patricia. Patricia already had 2 children from her previous marriage, David, who is now 29, and Rachel, who is 27. Michael's relationship with his stepfamily has always been cordial, but not particularly close. David lives in Houston with his wife Jennifer and their 3 kids, Emma, 12, Noah, 10, and Sophie. They're typical suburban kids, involved in soccer, piano lessons, and honor roll students. The central figure in this story is Michael's mother, Catherine. Catherine is 59 years old and works as a real estate agent in Dallas. She's always been what you might call a traditional woman with very specific ideas about family, bloodlines, and what makes someone truly family. When Michael's father passed away from cancer 2 years ago, Catherine seemed to soften somewhat, and I thought maybe we could build a better relationship. I was wrong. Catherine has always had a strained relationship with me. I think part of it stems from the fact that I didn't come from what she considers good breeding. My parents are working class people. My dad works in construction. My mom is a school cafeteria worker. They're good, honest people who raised me with strong values, but Catherine has never seen it that way. She's made subtle comments over the years about my background, my education, I went to community college for dental hygiene, and even my appearance. But the real issue, the one that's been festering for years, is Tyler. Catherine has never fully accepted him as her grandson. Oh, she goes through the motions when others are around, but there's always been this underlying current of distance. Like she's tolerating him rather than loving him. It started small. When Tyler was little, Catherine would send Christmas and birthday gifts, but they were always noticeably less expensive or thoughtful than what she gave Emma, Noah, and Sophie. A $10 toy truck for Tyler while the other kids got $50 Lego sets. A generic happy birthday card versus personalized cards with heartfelt messages for the biological grandchildren. Michael would make excuses. Mom's on a budget, he'd say, or she probably just picked it up last minute. I wanted to believe him, wanted to give Catherine the benefit of the doubt. After all, Tyler was happy with whatever he got, and I didn't want to create family drama over material things. But as Tyler got older, the disparities became harder to ignore. Catherine would drive 3 hours to Houston to attend Emma's piano recitals, but would claim she was too busy to come to Tyler's school plays, even though we're only an hour and a half from Dallas. She remembered every detail about the Houston grandkids' schedules and achievements, but would consistently forget Tyler's important events. Last year, when Tyler won first place in his school's science fair with a project about Mars exploration, I was so excited to share the news with Catherine. I called her immediately after the ceremony, thinking she'd be proud. Her response was lukewarm at best. "That's nice, dear," she said in a distracted tone. "I'm sure he worked very hard." But when Emma made the honor roll that same week, Catherine called us to gush about it for 20 minutes and posted about it all over Facebook. The Facebook thing really gets to me. Catherine's social media is filled with photos and posts about David's family. So proud of my granddaughter Emma for her soccer victory. Look at my handsome grandson Noah at his school dance. Sophie lost her first tooth. What a big girl. But Tyler? He's virtually invisible on her social media. In the rare photos where he appears, usually family group shots, she never tags him or mentions him by name. Michael has always defended his mother. She just expresses affection differently, he'd say. Or, Tyler doesn't seem bothered by it. But Tyler was starting to notice. Last Christmas, when he watched his cousins open their elaborate gifts from Grandma Catherine while he received a generic puzzle, I saw the confusion and hurt in his eyes. He didn't say anything, but I knew. Why doesn't Grandma Catherine love me like she loves Emma and Noah and Sophie? He asked me one evening as I was tucking him into bed. The question hit me like a punch to the gut. "She does love you, sweetheart," I lied, hating myself for it. "She just shows it differently." But Tyler's not stupid. Kids pick up on these things, even when adults think they're being subtle. The situation came to a head 3 months ago during Tyler's 11th birthday party. We decided to have a big celebration since it was such a milestone, his first birthday as a true preteen. We rented a pavilion at the local park, invited his whole class, and planned a day full of activities. Michael's family was invited, of course, including Catherine. Catherine arrived an hour late, claiming traffic, though we later found out she'd stopped at David's house first to drop off birthday gifts for Sophie, whose birthday wasn't for another month. She made a big show of greeting the Houston grandkids, exclaiming over how much they'd grown and how beautiful they looked. Tyler ran up to her, excited to show her the dinosaur decorations we'd put up specifically because we knew he'd want to share them with everyone. "Grandma Catherine, look! Mom got T-Rex balloons just like Mr. Chompers!" he said, practically bouncing with excitement. Catherine glanced around dismissively. "How nice," she said flatly, then immediately turned her attention back to Emma. "Tell me about your piano lessons, sweetheart. Your father says you're progressing wonderfully." I watched Tyler's face fall, and something inside me cracked. The gift opening ceremony was the final straw. Tyler had received wonderful presents from his friends and our immediate family. Michael and I had gotten him a telescope he'd been wanting for months, along with a book about constellations. He was over the moon, pun intended, and kept talking about all the things he was going to see in the night sky. When it came time for Catherine's gift, she handed Tyler a small, poorly wrapped package with no card. Inside was a basic model car kit, the kind you can buy at any drugstore for about $8. It wasn't even a car he was interested in. Tyler's never shown any interest in cars. He thanked her politely, because he's a good kid, but I could see the confusion in his eyes. This wasn't a gift chosen with thought or love. It was something grabbed off a shelf at the last minute. Meanwhile, the gifts she'd brought for the Houston grandkids, even though it wasn't their birthday, were expensive and personalized. A professional art set for Emma, a remote-controlled drone for Noah, and a deluxe dollhouse for Sophie. Each came with a heartfelt card expressing how special they were to her. But what really pushed me over the edge was what happened during the cake ceremony. Tyler had requested a dinosaur cake, and our local bakery had created this amazing T-Rex design that looked like it was roaring. Tyler was so proud of it and wanted to show everyone. As we gathered around for the happy birthday song, Catherine loudly announced, "David, don't forget to get pictures of this for me. I want to remember how grown-up the kids are getting." She was talking about Emma, Noah, and Sophie. At Tyler's own birthday party, she was focused on preserving memories of the other children while treating the birthday boy like he was invisible. After the party, as we were cleaning up, Tyler came to me with tears in his eyes. "Mom, did I do something wrong? Why was Grandma Catherine more excited about the other kids at my birthday party?" That night, after Tyler was asleep, I confronted Michael. I laid out everything I'd been observing for years. The unequal gifts, the forgotten events, the social media neglect, the emotional distance. I explained how it was affecting Tyler and how we needed to address it. Michael's response was disappointing, but not surprising. "You're reading too much into things," he said. "Mom treats all the kids well. Tyler's not complaining." He asked me tonight why Grandma Catherine doesn't love him like she loves his cousins. I shot back. He's starting to internalize the message that he's somehow less worthy of love because he's adopted. "That's not what's happening," Michael insisted. "Mom just has a different relationship with David's kids because she's known them longer." "Michael, Tyler has been her grandson for 8 years. How much longer does she need?" The conversation went in circles, with Michael making excuses and me growing increasingly frustrated. I realized that he couldn't or wouldn't see what was happening, possibly because acknowledging it would mean confronting some uncomfortable truths about his mother. 2 weeks after Tyler's birthday, Catherine called with exciting news. David's family was planning a big summer vacation to Disney World, and Catherine wanted to pay for the whole thing as a surprise. She was bubbling with enthusiasm about spending a week with her grandchildren and creating magical memories. "What about Tyler?" I asked pointedly. "Will he be included in this family vacation?" There was a pause. "Well, this is really something special I wanted to do for David's children," Catherine said carefully. "Tyler wouldn't really fit in with their group." "Tyler wouldn't fit in with his own cousins?" "You know what I mean, Sarah. The other children have such a special bond, and Tyler, well, he's different. Different." There it was. The word that confirmed everything I'd been suspecting. Tyler was different because he wasn't biologically related. Because he was adopted. Because in Catherine's mind, he wasn't really family. I ended the call abruptly, too angry to trust myself to remain civil. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I called David directly. David and I had always maintained a pleasant but distant relationship, but I felt like I needed to understand the bigger picture. "David, can I ask you something, honestly?" I said after we'd exchanged pleasantries. "Has your mom ever made comments about Tyler being adopted?" There was a long silence. "Sarah, Look, Mom comes from a different generation. She has some old-fashioned ideas about family. What kind of old-fashioned ideas? Another pause. She's mentioned before that she feels differently about biological grandchildren versus other grandchildren. She doesn't mean anything bad by it. It's just how she was raised. So there it was. Confirmation that Catherine's treatment of Tyler wasn't accidental or unconscious. It was deliberate. She didn't consider him a real grandchild because he wasn't biologically related to Michael. I thanked David for his honesty and hung up, my hands shaking with rage. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention to Catherine's behavior, documenting instances of differential treatment. The pattern was undeniable. Catherine called David's house twice a week to check on the kids, but called us maybe once a month. And those calls were primarily to talk to Michael, not to ask about Tyler. She attended every one of Emma's soccer games during the season, but missed Tyler's Little League championship game, claiming she had a work commitment. I later saw on Facebook that she'd gone shopping with friends that day. When Noah broke his arm, Catherine drove immediately to Houston to help take care of him. When Tyler had pneumonia and was hospitalized for 2 days, she sent a generic, "get well soon" text. She consistently referred to David's children as my grandchildren, while referring to Tyler as Sarah and Michael's boy, or simply Tyler. The most damning evidence came when I was helping Catherine organize some old photos during one of her visits. I found a photo album labeled My Grandchildren that contained dozens of pictures of Emma, Noah, and Sophie from birth to present day. Tyler appeared in exactly 3 photos, all group family shots where excluding him would have been obvious. When I pointed this out, Catherine became defensive. I just haven't had time to organize Tyler's photos yet, she claimed. But Tyler had been part of our family for almost 9 years. How much time did she need? The breaking point came last month during what should have been a routine family dinner. We were all gathered at our house. Michael and me, Tyler, and Catherine, who was in town for a real estate conference. David's family couldn't make it due to Sophie having a dance recital. During dinner, Tyler excitedly shared news about being selected for his school's gifted program. He'd scored exceptionally high on aptitude tests and would be starting advanced classes in the fall. Michael and I were incredibly proud, and Tyler was beaming with excitement. Catherine's response was tepid. "That's nice, Tyler," she said, barely looking up from her plate. But then Tyler, in his innocent enthusiasm, made a comment that revealed how much he'd been thinking about family dynamics. "I can't wait to tell Emma and Noah. Maybe now Grandma Catherine will be as proud of me as she is of them." The statement hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Tyler had no idea he'd just articulated the exact problem we'd been dancing around for years. Catherine's face hardened. "Tyler, I'm proud of all my grandchildren equally." "But you always talk about how smart Emma is and how athletic Noah is," Tyler continued, oblivious to the tension he was creating. "And you have all their pictures on your phone, but you don't have any of me. Mom showed me." I shot a warning look at Michael, hoping he'd intervene, but he was frozen, staring at his plate. Catherine set down her fork with deliberate precision. "Tyler, I think there's something you need to understand. Emma, Noah, and Sophie are my biological grandchildren. They're my son's children. You're very special to your parents, but it's different." "Different how?" Tyler asked, genuine confusion in his voice. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. "Catherine, that's enough." But she continued, apparently deciding this was the moment for brutal honesty. "Tyler, you were adopted. That means you didn't come from our family originally. Emma, Noah, and Sophie share our blood, our DNA. It's just natural that I feel a stronger connection to them." The silence that followed was deafening. Tyler's face went through a series of emotions: confusion, hurt, and finally, understanding. The terrible understanding that he was being categorized as lesser than his cousins based on something completely beyond his control. "So I'm not really your grandson?" Tyler asked, his voice small and broken. "You're Tyler," Catherine said, as if that answered the question. "And that's fine. Not everyone can be a biological grandchild." Tyler burst into tears and ran from the room. I could hear his bedroom door slam upstairs. I turned to Catherine, no longer caring about maintaining family peace. "How dare you say that to him? How dare you make an 11-year-old child feel like he's not good enough because he's adopted?" Catherine shrugged, apparently feeling justified in her cruelty. He was going to figure it out eventually. Better to be honest than to let him live in a fantasy. "The only fantasy here is your belief that DNA determines who deserves love and respect," I shot back. "Tyler has been part of this family for 9 years. He calls you grandma. He loves you, and you just told him he's not really your grandson." "I never said he wasn't my grandson," Catherine protested. "I just explained that there are different types of grandchildren." "There are not different types of grandchildren." I exploded. "There are grandchildren you love and grandchildren you don't, and you've made it crystal clear which category Tyler falls into." Michael finally found his voice. "Mom, that was really harsh. Tyler's just a kid." I was being honest, Catherine defended. The boy needs to understand his place in the family. His place? I repeated incredulously. His place is as our son and your grandson. Full stop. There's no hierarchy, no different levels of grandchildren. He's either family or he's not. Of course he's family, Catherine said impatiently, but let's not pretend that adoption is the same as biological children. It's just not. I looked at Michael, waiting for him to defend his son, to set his mother straight. But he remained silent, torn between loyalty to his mother and protection of his child. That silence spoke volumes. Get out, I said quietly. Catherine looked surprised. Excuse me? I said get out. Leave my house. Now. Sarah, you're overreacting, Catherine said, but I could see uncertainty creeping into her expression. I'm protecting my son from further emotional abuse, I corrected. You just told an 11-year-old child that he's a second-class grandchild because he's adopted. That is cruel, inappropriate, and unforgivable. I simply explained the biological reality. The biological reality is that Tyler is Michael's son, which makes him your grandson. Everything else is just prejudice dressed up as fact. Now get out of my house before I say something we'll both regret. Catherine gathered her purse, muttering about my overreaction and Tyler's need to understand the truth. As she headed toward the door, she turned back. This is exactly why I never fully accepted this adoption, she said. I knew it would lead to complications like this. After she left, I went upstairs to find Tyler curled up on his bed, sobbing into his pillow. My heart broke as I sat beside him and gathered him into my arms. Am I really not her grandson? He asked through his tears. You are absolutely her grandson, I said firmly. And more importantly, you are our son. Dad and I chose you, Tyler. We wanted you specifically, not just any child, but you. But I'm not really your son, he said, the pain in his voice cutting me to the core. Tyler, look at me. I turned his face toward mine. Being someone's child isn't about sharing the same DNA. It's about being loved, being wanted, being chosen every single day. Dad and I have chosen you every day for 9 years. We chose you when we brought you home from foster care. We chose you when we went through the adoption process. We choose you every morning when we make your breakfast and every night when we tuck you in. That makes you our son in every way that matters. We talked for over an hour, and I did my best to undo the damage Catherine had caused. But I knew this conversation had fundamentally changed something for Tyler. The innocence was gone, replaced by the painful awareness that some people would always see him as different, as less than. When Michael came upstairs later, he found us both emotionally drained. Tyler had finally fallen asleep, but his face was still streaked with tears. We need to talk, I told Michael as we stepped into the hallway. In our bedroom, I laid out an ultimatum that I never thought I'd have to give. Your mother is not welcome in this house until she apologizes to Tyler and demonstrates that she understands why what she said was wrong. Sarah, she's my mother, Michael said weakly. And Tyler is your son, I reminded him. If you can't see that protecting him from emotional abuse should be our priority, then we have bigger problems than just your mother. Michael ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I recognized as his way of dealing with stress. I know what she said was wrong, but she's set in her ways. She's not going to change. Then she doesn't get to be part of Tyler's life, I said simply. I will not allow my child to be exposed to someone who makes him feel less worthy of love because he's adopted. You can't ask me to choose between my mother and my son. I'm not asking you to choose. Your mother made the choice when she decided to treat Tyler as a second-class grandchild. I'm just asking you to support the boundaries necessary to protect our son's emotional well-being. Michael was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. You're right. Tyler has to come first. The next morning, Tyler was quieter than usual at breakfast. When I asked if he was okay, he nodded, but I could tell he was processing everything that had happened. Mom, are David and Emma and Noah and Sophie going to think I'm not really their cousin now too? He asked. The question revealed how deeply Catherine's words had affected him. He was now questioning his place in the entire extended family. No, sweetheart, you are their cousin, and most of the family sees you exactly that way. Grandma Catherine has some wrong ideas, but that doesn't change who you are or where you belong. Over the next few days, I started to notice changes in Tyler's behavior. He was more clingy, seeking constant reassurance about our love for him. He asked repeatedly if we were happy we'd adopted him, if we ever regretted it, if we wished we'd had a real son instead. Each question was like a knife to my heart. I also noticed him pulling away from activities he usually enjoyed. He quit the chess club at school, saying he wasn't good enough anyway. When I encouraged him to continue with his Lego building, he said, "What's the point? Nobody really cares about the stuff I make." Catherine's cruel words had done more than hurt Tyler's feelings. They damaged his sense of self-worth and belonging. A week after the dinner incident, Catherine called Michael. I could hear her voice through the phone as she launched into a justification of her behavior. "I don't understand why everyone is so upset," she said. I was simply being honest about family dynamics. The boy needed to understand that adoption doesn't erase biological realities. Michael, to his credit, stood firm. Mom, what you said was cruel and inappropriate. Tyler is my son, and that makes him your grandson. There are no qualifications or asterisks attached to that. I never said he wasn't your grandson, Catherine protested. I just explained that there are natural differences in how grandparents relate to biological versus adopted grandchildren. There shouldn't be any differences, Michael said. Tyler has been part of our family for 9 years. If you can't love him the same way you love David's kids, then maybe you shouldn't be around any of them. I was proud of Michael for finally standing up to his mother, but Catherine's response was predictable. I see Sarah has poisoned you against me, she said. This is exactly what I was afraid would happen. That woman has never understood family loyalty. This has nothing to do with Sarah, and everything to do with protecting my son from hurtful treatment, Michael replied. Until you can apologize to Tyler and commit to treating him with the same love and respect you show his cousins, you're not welcome in our home. Catherine hung up on him. 2 weeks later, David called. He'd apparently heard Catherine's version of events and wanted to understand what had really happened. Mom says you've banned her from seeing Tyler because she was honest about adoption, David said. I explained the situation from our perspective, including the years of differential treatment that had led up to the dinner confrontation. I had no idea it was that bad, David admitted. I knew Mom had some old-fashioned views about adoption, but I didn't realize she was treating Tyler differently. Have you noticed differences in how she talks about the kids? I asked. David was quiet for a moment. Now that you mention it, yeah, she does light up differently when she talks about my kids versus Tyler. I always attributed it to seeing my kids more often, but Tyler's been part of the family for almost as long as Noah has been alive, I pointed out. You're right, David said. That's not an excuse. I'm sorry, Sarah. I should have spoken up sooner. The conversation with David gave me hope that maybe some family relationships could be salvaged, even if Catherine couldn't change. Meanwhile, Tyler was slowly healing, but the process was painful to watch. We started family therapy to help him process the experience and rebuild his sense of security. Our therapist, Dr. Williams, helped us understand that Catherine's rejection had triggered Tyler's deepest fears about abandonment and belonging. Fears that many adopted children carry even in the most loving families. What Tyler experienced was a form of rejection that attacks the very core of his identity, Dr. Williams explained. It's going to take time and consistent reassurance to help him feel secure again. We worked on activities to reinforce Tyler's sense of belonging in our family. We created a photo album that documented his life with us from the very beginning, showing him how thoroughly integrated he was into our family from day one. We talked about the day we met him, how we felt when we held him for the first time, how we knew immediately that he was meant to be our son. Slowly, Tyler began to bounce back. The chess club teacher reached out to encourage him to return, and eventually, he did. His Lego creations started appearing around the house again. The questions about our love for him became less frequent. But the relationship with Catherine remained fractured. She made a few half-hearted attempts to reconcile, but they all involved justifying her behavior rather than acknowledging its impact on Tyler. I'm willing to apologize if Tyler was hurt by my honesty, she told Michael during one phone call. But I won't apologize for speaking the truth about biological family bonds. That wasn't an apology. It was a manipulation tactic designed to shift blame to Tyler for being too sensitive, rather than accepting responsibility for her cruelty. 3 months after the dinner incident, Catherine made one final attempt at reconciliation. She sent Tyler a card with a $50 gift card inside and a note that read, Dear Tyler, I hope you understand that Grandma loves you in her own special way. Some relationships are different than others, but that doesn't mean they're not important. Love, Grandma Catherine. Tyler read the card and looked at me with confusion. She still doesn't get it, does she? No, sweetheart, she doesn't. Can I send this back? I was so proud of Tyler in that moment. At 11 years old, he had the wisdom to recognize that Catherine's version of love, conditional, qualified, and hierarchical, wasn't real love at all. If that's what you want to do, then yes, you can send it back. Tyler wrote a simple note. Dear Grandma Catherine, thank you for the gift card, but I don't want presents from someone who thinks I'm not a real grandson. I hope someday you understand that families are made with love, not just blood. Tyler. We mailed the gift card back with his note. Catherine's response was swift and predictable. She called Michael, furious that we'd coached Tyler to be disrespectful and demanding that we stop poisoning him against her. Tyler wrote that note himself, Michael told her. Nobody coached him. He's old enough to understand when someone is treating him badly. I have never treated that boy badly, Catherine protested. You told him he wasn't really your grandson because he's adopted, Michael reminded her. In what universe is that not treating him badly? The conversation ended with Catherine declaring that she was done trying, and that we'd have to live with the consequences of choosing adoption over family loyalty. That phrase, choosing adoption over family loyalty, revealed everything about Catherine's twisted worldview. In her mind, loving an adopted child was somehow disloyal to biological family members. 6 months have passed since that dinner, and our lives have settled into a new normal. Tyler is thriving in therapy and at school. His confidence has returned, and he rarely mentions Catherine anymore. When he does, it's usually to express relief that he doesn't have to worry about her approval anymore. "I used to try so hard to make Grandma Catherine like me," he told me recently. "It feels good not to have to do that anymore." Michael and I have grown closer through this experience. Watching him choose Tyler over his mother's approval was difficult, but it also showed me the depth of his commitment to our son. We've both learned valuable lessons about setting boundaries and protecting the people we love from toxic behavior, even when it comes from family. The relationship with David's family has actually improved. David and Jennifer have made more effort to include Tyler in family activities, and they've had honest conversations with their kids about what happened with Catherine. Emma, Noah, and Sophie have been surprisingly understanding and have gone out of their way to make Tyler feel included when they're together. "Tyler's our cousin no matter what Grandma Catherine says," Emma told me during a recent family gathering, "and we think she's wrong." Catherine has maintained her stance that she did nothing wrong. She occasionally sends messages through David, usually variations of, "I hope Tyler has learned to appreciate honesty," or, "Perhaps when he's older, he'll understand family dynamics better." Michael no longer takes her calls, and we've made it clear to the extended family that Catherine is not welcome at events where Tyler will be present. Some family members have expressed concern about cutting off an elderly woman, but most understand and support our decision to protect Tyler. Dr. Williams has helped us understand that some people are simply incapable of the emotional growth necessary to recognize and change harmful behavior. Catherine falls in that category. Her worldview is so rigid and her prejudices so deeply ingrained that she genuinely cannot understand why treating an adopted grandchild differently is wrong. Some people, Dr. Williams explained, are so invested in their beliefs that admitting wrongdoing would require them to reconstruct their entire understanding of family and relationships. Catherine has chosen to maintain her beliefs rather than evolve. Tyler has come to a similar understanding in his own 11-year-old way. "Grandma Catherine doesn't know how to love kids who aren't related to her," he said recently. "That's sad for her, but it's not my fault, and I don't have to fix it." The wisdom in that statement amazes me. Tyler has learned, at a very young age, that he cannot control other people's capacity for love, but he can control his response to their limitations. Looking back, I sometimes wonder if I could have handled the situation differently. Maybe if I'd confronted Catherine's behavior earlier, we could have avoided the dramatic confrontation. But I also recognize that Catherine's prejudices were so deeply rooted that no amount of gentle correction would have changed her fundamental beliefs about adoption and family. What I know for certain is that protecting Tyler was the right choice. Children should never be expected to tolerate emotional abuse in the name of family harmony. They deserve to be surrounded by people who love them unconditionally, without qualifications or asterisks. Tyler recently asked me if he could change his name. Not his first name, but his last name. He wants to take Michael's last name legally, even though he's using it informally since the adoption. "I want it to be official," he explained. "I want everyone to know that I really belong to this family." The request broke my heart and filled it at the same time. Broke it because Catherine's cruelty had made Tyler feel like he needed to prove his belonging. Filled it because Tyler's desire to officially claim our family name showed how deeply he understood that family is a choice, not just a biological accident. We've started the legal process to change his name. Tyler Walker will become Tyler Walker Mitchell, carrying both my maiden name and Michael's family name as a symbol of how fully he belongs to both of our families. Some people might read this story and think I overreacted, that I should have tried harder to make peace with Catherine for the sake of family unity. But I've learned that family unity built on the exclusion or diminishment of any member isn't unity at all. It's just a facade that protects toxic behavior. Real family unity comes from ensuring that every member feels valued, loved, and secure in their belonging. That's what we've created for Tyler, and that's what we'll continue to protect. Tyler recently started writing stories again, something he'd stopped doing after Catherine's cruel comments. His latest story is about a young dinosaur who gets adopted by a family of different dinosaurs and learns that love makes a family, not having the same kind of scales. The little dinosaur thought he had to earn his place in the family, Tyler read to me, but then he realized that he already belonged, just by being loved. When he finished reading, Tyler looked up at me with bright eyes. "That's kind of like my story, isn't it?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said, pulling him close. "That's exactly like your story." Update. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thank you to everyone who shared their own stories and offered support. Reading about other families who faced similar challenges has been both heartbreaking and healing. A few people have asked about Catherine's current relationship with David's family. From what we understand, David and Jennifer have also established boundaries with Catherine regarding her treatment of adopted or foster children. They've made it clear that any future grandchildren who come to their family through adoption will be treated equally. And Catherine's behavior toward Tyler has made them question some of her other attitudes and behaviors. Tyler is doing wonderfully. His name change should be finalized next month, and he's excited about the official paperwork that will reflect what he's always known in his heart, that he belongs to this family completely and unconditionally. To anyone reading this who is dealing with similar family dynamics, trust your instincts. If someone is consistently making your child feel less valuable or less loved, it's not about being oversensitive or disrupting family harmony. It's about protecting your child's emotional well-being and sense of self-worth. Those things are more important than maintaining relationships with people who can't love your child properly. And to any adopted children or adults reading this, your worth is not determined by biology. You are not a consolation prize or a second choice. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, with the family that chose you and continues to choose you every day. Family isn't about blood. It's about love, commitment, and showing up for each other when it matters. Tyler learned that lesson the hard way, but he learned it completely. And in the end, that knowledge will serve him better than any grandmother's conditional approval ever could. Final update. 1 year later. It's been a year since the dinner incident that changed everything, and I wanted to share how Tyler is doing now. Tyler is 12 now and absolutely thriving. His confidence has returned stronger than ever, and he's developed an incredible sense of empathy for other kids who feel different or left out. He's become something of a mentor to younger kids at school, especially those in foster care or from blended families. The name change is complete. He's officially Tyler Walker Mitchell now, and he couldn't be prouder. He carries his new ID card in his wallet and shows it to people like it's a treasure, which, in many ways, it is. His relationship with David's family has grown stronger. Emma, Noah, and Sophie have become not just cousins, but genuine friends. They've learned valuable lessons about inclusion and family loyalty from this experience, and Jennifer tells me they often defend adoption and foster care when other kids make ignorant comments at school. Michael has had no contact with Catherine in over a year. She sends birthday and Christmas cards to Tyler through David, but Tyler has asked us to donate any money she sends to local foster care organizations. Other kids need it more than I do, he says. And maybe it will help them find families like I did. The most beautiful development has been Tyler's relationship with my parents. They've completely stepped into the grandparent role that Catherine vacated, and Tyler calls them Nana and Papa. They don't care about biology, they just see a grandson who needs extra love and attention, and they've provided it in spades. Tyler spends every other weekend with them, and they attend every school event, every game, every concert. He's learned what unconditional grandparent love looks like, and it's nothing like what Catherine offered. Dr. Williams has been amazed by Tyler's resilience and growth. He's learned to set healthy boundaries at an age when most kids don't even understand the concept, she told us recently. This experience, as painful as it was, has given him tools that will serve him well throughout his life. Tyler has also become an advocate for adoption awareness. When his class studied family structures last month, he volunteered to share his story. His presentation was titled, "How I Got My Real Family," and there wasn't a dry eye in the classroom when he finished. Some people think adoption means you're not really part of the family, he told his classmates. But that's wrong. Adoption means your family chose you on purpose. They wanted you so much that they went through lots of paperwork and waiting just to bring you home. That makes you extra special, not less special. His teacher told me later that Tyler's presentation sparked important conversations among the students about different types of families and what makes someone truly belong. As for Catherine, we hear occasional updates through David. She apparently still maintains that she did nothing wrong and that we're too sensitive about adoption issues. She's moved to a retirement community in Florida and seems content with her rigid worldview intact. David visits her occasionally, but has admitted that their relationship has changed since he witnessed how she treated Tyler. "I see her differently now," David told Michael recently. "I always knew she had strong opinions, but I didn't realize how cruel she could be to a child. It's made me question other things she said and did over the years." Michael has found peace with the estrangement. "I miss the mother I thought she was," he told me recently, "but I don't miss the mother she actually turned out to be, and I'm grateful Tyler doesn't have to deal with her conditional love anymore." The most important outcome of this entire experience has been Tyler's unshakable confidence in his place in our family. He no longer questions whether we love him or whether he belongs. He knows, bone deep, that he is our son in every way that matters. Last week, Tyler asked me if we'd ever consider adopting another child. Why? I asked, curious about his reasoning. Because there are other kids out there who need families like I did, he said. And I think I'd be a really good big brother. I could help them understand that being adopted makes you special, not different. Michael and I are actually considering it. Not immediately, but in a few years when Tyler is older and we have more space. The idea of giving another child the love and belonging that Tyler has found with us is incredibly appealing. Tyler has also expressed interest in staying connected to the foster care system that brought him to us. He wants to volunteer when he's older, maybe help with activity programs for kids waiting for placement. I want them to know that good families exist, he explained. That there are people out there who will love them exactly as they are. Sometimes I look at Tyler, confident, compassionate, resilient Tyler, and I'm amazed by the young man he's becoming. Catherine's cruelty could have broken him, could have made him doubt his worth and his place in the world. Instead, it taught him valuable lessons about conditional versus unconditional love, about setting boundaries, and about the difference between DNA and family. He recently wrote a poem for school that perfectly captures his understanding of family. A family isn't made by blood alone. It's built with love and care that's shown. It's people who choose you every day, who love you in their special way. I didn't grow inside my mom, but she's my mom, my heart, my calm. My dad chose me when I was small and loved me through my tears and all. Some people think that blood's what counts, that DNA's what truly amounts. But I know a love is what makes family true, and I'm so glad mine chose me too. Reading that poem, I realized that Catherine inadvertently gave Tyler a gift. Not through her love, she was incapable of that, but through her rejection. Her cruelty forced Tyler to examine what family really means and to recognize the difference between people who love conditionally and those who love without limits. Tyler now understands at age 12 what many adults never learn, that the people who truly love you will never make you earn your place in their hearts. To anyone reading this who is struggling with similar family dynamics, I want you to know that it's possible to protect your children from toxic relatives while maintaining your own peace of mind. It's not easy, and it's not without consequences, but your child's emotional well-being is worth more than any family relationship that requires them to diminish themselves to maintain it. Tyler is living proof that children can not only survive family rejection, but can thrive in spite of it when they're surrounded by people who love them unconditionally. He's confident, kind, and secure in his identity because we chose to prioritize his well-being over family politics. And to Catherine, if you're somehow reading this, you missed out on knowing an incredible kid. Tyler is funny, brilliant, creative, and compassionate. He would have loved you fiercely if you'd given him the chance. Your loss is immeasurable, and his gain is that he's free from your conditional approval. Tyler's story is far from over. He's got big dreams. He wants to be a paleontologist or maybe a social worker who helps kids in foster care. Whatever he chooses, I know he'll be successful because he understands his own worth and he's not afraid to stand up for what's right. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone you love is protect them from people who can't love them properly. It's a hard lesson, but it's one that can transform a painful experience into a foundation for a stronger, more authentic life. Tyler is exactly where he belongs, with exactly the family he was meant to have, and he knows it. Comments are locked on this post at my request. If you're dealing with similar issues, please reach out to family therapists, adoption support groups, or other resources in your community. Remember, blood doesn't make family, love does.